Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn, and this I think will end up being video number 3 on this primary electrical installation. But we're going to start off with nothing related to electrical, but related to water instead. This is sort of the low point, and this culvert here is the discharge of the majority of the runoff from the field. So this sees the majority of the water during any sort of rain event, and we're right here next to a swamp and it's very wet, and we've not had rain for at least 2 weeks, and we still have, when I dug this trench, water percolated up pretty quickly, and it stayed there. So for the drain here, because it in fact, there might even be just a little, you can see just the slightest bit of water there. So this generally will run and will discharge water, which makes this, when it just ran on the surface, very wet. I was only able to mow this without getting myself mired in the tractor after that sort of mini drought here that we're experiencing of a couple weeks of no rain. So my purpose in here, one, was to drain this trench so I could put the conduit in, because it was filled up with water. But I've decided, since I've made a trench, I bought some rocks, and I'm gonna fill this and make sort of a French drain so that the discharge of this will run either through the rocks or maybe on top of them in a real heavy storm, because this is sort of a natural swale. And so I can keep this drier and be able to mow it maybe all the time as I mow the rest of the field, and not be restricted to waiting for things to dry out. So this is also take two. This is also the area right there where I got my excavator just a little bit sideways in this ditch. It was because it's wet, it was soft. I got a little off center and one of the tracks sort of sunk in. That's in the previous video, so if you're interested in seeing my mishap, you can tune into that one. Must be good drinking water. Alright, now after this French drain, I do have some fabric. That'll be the first thing we do, is lay out the fabric. Down there where it's not quite as deep, I think I have enough to line the entire ditch. Up here, where the dog is, I probably don't, because it's only, I think, a 6 foot wide strip of filter fabric. Is the non-woven, the felt type stuff. So I'm not too particular about covering the entire perimeter of the drain or cross section. That's fine. My plan is to leave the rock exposed and just make it sort of flush with the ground here, so I can drive over it, mow over it, hopefully not catch my mower blades with the rocks. That would be nice. So this material here I got from the quarry and not the gravel pit where I've gotten other tailings. That's what they call them, tailings. So when you screen sand or gravel, you know, the bigger material is what's left over. So these, I think, are they're advertised as 1.5 to 4 inches. Obviously there's some things that are slightly bigger. But the other ones that I've used from another pit, the tailings, they don't really have a maximum size. So it's whatever comes out of the pit. And so there are some pretty big rocks, meaning, you know, 18 inches, 2 feet, maybe 32 inches in one direction, which I didn't want for this particular application. So I paid a little bit more for these, but I think it'll work better for this rather than having a bunch of big rocks mixed in. And the other thing is, this is I think cleaner, the other material, which is cheap, but it does more often have gravel and sand mixed in, which will impact the operation of a French drain. So when I was here several days ago now and dug this out, it was really soupy. You can see here, even with the tracks I was sinking in. But this is standing water. It's basically level from there all the way there. So what I think I will do is maybe make it a bit deeper here. I think it's basically level from here over there. That's swamp, and that's why it's always wet, because it's sort of level. But maybe give myself a little bit more in the way of room for rocks. Look at all those mosquitoes. Standing water and mosquitoes. I'm guessing they're mosquitoes. So I think I'm going to extend this into the brush a bit. I might get just a little bit more fall, maybe get some of this level to lower just a little bit. But once it gets basically beyond here, I'm not going to mow anyhow. I'm not worried about trying to dry the material out or anything like that. So those are just tent stakes. Hopefully it's just temporary. I hope I don't lose them when I dump it, but it's not going to come all the way to the top, particularly up there where it's deeper. As long as I can surround most of the bottom of it, I'll be fine. Take them out and move them up. So I'm going to come down the hill so it's straight on. Over here, since I'm moving up the trench here, this gets a bit sideways. I'd have to drive on it sideways, and I don't feel comfortable doing that with weight in the bucket. So I'm going to load up on that side and then drive straight down, so there is no sideways. It's just straight up and down. Well, it seems to be working out fairly well, but I'm coming to a point here where I really need to access the rest of this from there. Thankfully, the engineer was able to stop by yesterday and gave me the go-ahead to backfill this conduit trench. So I will do that. So a little bit of pause in the drainage, and we'll start up with the electrical. So I do have a small pile of sand on the other side of the tractor. Hopefully that's enough to fill at least this down to where we are. If not, I do have a pile down there still. I do need to get some more. As I guess is typical, I underestimated the amount of sand I needed to line the trench. So this is Friday. I wasn't able to get sand today, but Monday I'll get some. But I'm not sure when I'm going to have a day off again. Hopefully Tuesday, because it looks like next Wednesday's rain again. So we've lined the conduit with sand all the way up to the vault. So now it's time to backfill with the native soil. I'll set the rocks up here. I have plenty of uses for them. So another requirement is to put this danger tape about a foot from the final grade, I think is what the spec says. So I packed it down hopefully fairly well between the tractor and the excavator. Leave that there as evidence that I did what I'm supposed to. So, the purpose of our little diversion there to fill in this trench was just so I had easier access to finish this job. So now this trench is done. I'm going to transition from sort of deep and narrow here, which is really just to try to keep the field a bit drier, to wider and shallower here. So I've wasted all the rocks that were just around here on either side of the culvert in this swale. I still have plenty of rocks down there. I may use some more here, we'll see. And I've filled this trench relatively level, as close as I could guess with what the final grade will be here. You can see just a little bit left there in that pile. So what I'd like, you probably can't see the sort of the grade on camera, but where the tire tracks here are muddy is probably about the same level as that. What I'd rather have, and that's quite a bit higher where that pipe's coming out of the ground, is fill in this so it's more of a gentle, consistent slope from that high point there to this trench. Over here, I have that. But if I was smart, I would have piled this stuff over here because that's where I want it now that I've seen the lay of the land. So probably I'll get it. It's still pretty wet, even though the very top is dry. When I put the bigger bucket back on my excavator, I'll just scoop it over on the other side, hopefully, and not contaminate too much of the French drain with the soil. So this conduit's all been filled with sand all around it, so it is plenty protected from puncture and crushing from rocks and stuff. So now all I have to do is fill it with just the native fill, and we'll start grading it out. So we'll bring it back when there's something more exciting to talk about. Well, I'm getting a little frustrated. I've got this filled in, leaving about that 1 foot for the finished grade to lay that danger tape. The frustration is this is just taking a long time to fill. I've never filled a trench this big, so I guess I've never realized that maybe I'm not using the right technique. What I think it has to do with is, one, it could be my technique. It could be the size of the bucket, which is an 18-inch. My normal bucket on that machine is 32-inch. The other thing I know is an issue is the rotate. The swing motor is very weak on this, so I can't put my bucket down and sort of drag the stuff in. So that's why this pile looks so uneven. So I've given it some thought, and what I think I'm going to do is use my bulldozer, which you might hear warming up there in the background, just beyond the red trailer. So I'm thinking I have enough room on the right-hand side of this ditch where I can ride the bulldozer there and angle it so that I grab maybe half of that windrow of dirt and sort of just windrow it or pile it into the ditch. If that doesn't work, I'll just go at an angle like this to fill it. Then I'll come through with the excavator. The bucket works well to sort of do an initial packing, and then what my plan will be is I'll clean this up enough here along the edge and then ride the tractor wheel. I think I videoed me doing that on that section there. That seemed to work well. Is just drive the tractor with a front wheel and a back wheel in this trench back and forth a couple times to pack it in. And it's not like it's a foundation. It doesn't have to be packed. The only thing packing it in will do is reduce the amount of dip that will develop over time as this naturally settles, that I have to fill back in later. And I'm guessing I probably won't finish this part of the landscaping until next year anyhow, so that should not be a big issue. So that's my plan. You get to witness firsthand if it's going to work out or not. The other point I should mention is that the only reason this is much of a concern at all is because I have to only fill it to within 12 inches of the finished grade and then stop and then put that tape in. If I was just filling in the ditch to fill it in, then it would be just an easy call. Just use the bulldozer and fill it in. It wouldn't be a big deal. But the challenge is fill it in but not completely full. Now I suppose I could chance it and then push the stuff in all the way, make it flush with this, and then hoping that when I pack it down it'll settle 12 inches. I don't know, we'll see. That's a thought, and maybe that would turn out to be true, but right now I'm not going to plan on it. Well, my struggles didn't stop with the excavator, but I think I struggled less as far as filling in the ditch in a given amount of time. This was much quicker. I have a challenge here because this is rather steep. I didn't want to hit that tree. I know I came close a couple times, and over here I felt myself sliding down, so I didn't want to spend any more time there than necessary. Some of that was I hadn't really scraped this off up here yet, so the bank was a bit steeper than it needed to be. So once I can sort of free-for-all fill in this and not worry about the tape, well, the depth that I'm filling it to, then I'll be able to shape this up better, because I want to make this mowable anyhow, so it can't be that steep. So the other challenge I'm running into now is this bank, or this pile, which is topsoil, but I threw the dirt from the trench up in there as well. So the edge of it it's sort of mixed in topsoil, gravel, clay. It's a bunch of everything, but I need to, what I'll probably do is skip this area here, come over here. Maybe I'll start from the other end. Actually, that'd be a lot easier. And then fill from left to right, as you see it here on the screen. And then when I go through the excavator, I'll have to make myself a little shelf there that I can ride on with a tractor. Well, I still need practice with my technique. That dozer, I've only had it for, this is my second summer. I have the hours. I think maybe I've put 50, 60 hours on it. So I'm still a novice, but that was a lot quicker. So now I'll take the excavator through, neaten up this trench, pack it down a little bit, and then drive the tractor over it, pack it down again, and then I'll lay the tape, and then we're done, and then it's just final grading. Now that I'm unencumbered by this tape and depth requirement, I can just backfill and shape the landscape. Well, the ditch is filled in, but really that's about it. I have a lot more shaping to do, but time is just simply running out for me today. The next thing I'd like to do is quite a drop off from the road right there. And I have all this dirt here. So the best thing here is to get the dozer on the other side of here and push that way. But I just don't have time to begin that portion of this project. I have a lot of rocks to collect. They're primarily going where that, whatever you want to call it, rock receiving area for the culvert is. So lots more work to do. So we'll pick it up next time. We have this to finish off, and then we have another 500 feet of conduit to put in, as well as suck the pull tape through it so they can pull the primary wire. So that will close it out for this video. I appreciate you watching. I hope you stick around for the next one. Thank you.